So I recorded my Bible. I copied my Bible readings for tonight, and then I recorded them in the print version for people who might like to put it on a big screen or on a computer screen and either practice their first language reading using Bible readings or read the Bible as in a fashion that is easier to see the print, albeit hand printing, but it's also a good way to learn to follow hand printing. And then I did my Bible reading where I just focused the phone camera on a napkin or a cloth and just read straight through the Bible readings. Then I was chatting with my mother for a little while. Right now I'm working on some of our handmade Christmas card booklets. I'd made some last year for a family far away in little notebooks and gift wrapped the covers. And I did poems and puzzles and stories. And this year my mother and I are working on them together. And I draw them up and make the puzzles, just hand print it with pencil and draw some pictures. And she helps by coloring them in, and we'll put them together, and that will be our joint gift to everybody to save money and just make people feel less like they have to give us a gift in return even, but just for the joy of giving and for something seasonal for a few minutes when they have nothing to do. They're waiting for something or the laundry or whatnot. But while we were talking tonight, she had been watching the news, and she was talking to me about, I don't know, with Mr. Obama, I think, in the Keystone deal. And when she said Keystone, I hadn't been following that particular deal or situation in the news, but she said it was about a pipeline or something on, I believe it was Western Canada. But all that came into my mind was when I was at university, my first or second year, myself and my roommate, or the girl who had a room in the home where I was staying, who also went to university, we did a lot of walking, and we'd go on Saturdays and Sundays and walk from one end of St. John's to the other, from one end of downtown to the other, way up by the bus station, or we'd walk off down by Kitty Fitty, or walk all the way up by the university. We lived on sort of on Freshwater Road on the way downtown, and that would be our Saturday and Sunday. And coming up towards Christmas, they always had the big Santa Claus parade, but there was always a downtown Santa Claus parade for the stores in the downtown area. And one of the funniest things that they had, and it didn't make much sense back then, I guess the Nostradamus effect, but they were called the Keystone Cops. And they were these little neighborly looking cops, I guess, in some sort of a costume. And they drove in these tiny little cars, little tiny police cars, I guess they were, but they may have been all sorts of cars. And they were huge people compared to the tiny little cars, which is funny now because of the gas deal, but perhaps that's why they've called it that. And they'd get out of the car when their car would stop or break down, and push it a little ways, and then they'd start banging each other on the head with their big foam hammers or whatnot. They just, very, very, I don't know if it's Three Stooges in nature, but they were funny. And just whoever had made these little cars back then, it was quite a big deal, quite a piece of work. And that's all I could get in my mind, and that's all that came to mind when she was telling me about it. So, how interesting the news can be.